Here we go. Welcome to the Monster Castle Radio Show. For the extreme paranormal listener. And here is your host, the Wolfman, Mike.
Yeah. This is where the real freaks hang out, alright? Yeah. Let's hear some rock and roll, baby, yeah!
I'm here with the Mud King. How are you, baby? All right. It's the Wolfman here. Do I got the Mud King with me?
What is going on, Wolfman?
Yeah, buddy. I can't believe the two of us on a show together. Yeah.
Connected.
That's right, man. We're all connected in the paranormal realm. All right. Now, what I want you to do for me tonight, I want you to interview me and then interview my girlfriend, because we both had a similar experience with these fireballs flying through our room.
Yeah, when you told me about that, just giving me a little bit of information about it, I found it very interesting, because my sister back in the 80s had I think a similar situation happen with her. So I'm interested to find out how many parallels there are between what happened to you and to her. And get to the bottom of it and find out
Exactly. That's what we want to know, man. This is weird, because I've never heard anyone else besides me and her, or her and I, that have had anything like that.
The Queen's English is for that.
Yeah. Well, we could say it either way, but, you know, if you do it the wrong way, you might get, like, burned as a witch. Possibly. I heard.
Well, on the internet, for sure, you would be excoriated.
Yeah, they do that to you. What does that mean, when they take all your guts out and stuff?
What is that, actually? That would be flaying you?
Exfoliation?
That would be extreme, yes. That would take care of any skin conditions.
Extreme, maybe, what do you call that? Enema?
Is that one of those things you do to get a true cleanse instead of taking?
You got to take that stuff they advertise on the other shows. You know.
Yes.
All
do you think
the
they
herbs.
make any money off that advertisement?
You know, all my friends that took all those herbs all died of cancer, eh?
Well, so then it's not Big Pharma we need to worry about. It's the paranormal.
Possibly, it could possibly be that.
Or maybe Big Pharma is the one behind.
Well, I had a buddy who was a Patrick Flanagan freak, you know, made pyramid hats and everything, showed me how to do all that stuff, and some of it works, but and he took all the water tablets and everything. Well, you know, he was the most purest guy I ever knew that did for his body, tried to do it, and he died of a miserable cancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's not the only person that I've heard about do it, like, and that's taking all those weird stuff, you know.
Well, in the weird world we're in now, of all of the different GMOs and things that are pumped into our systems with antibiotics and all of that, the more pure your system is, I bet the more dangerous, because then you're going to have these things that are artificial in your system, and you don't have the immunities built to it.
Exactly, that's what I mean. And so it's a shock to your system
Yeah.
of something that's so pure that we haven't had since the time of cavemen.
Oh yeah, if you were to take a modern man or woman and drop her into those times, their immune system would go crazy because we've been changed so much over the things we eat and the things we take as medicine.
And we're not even allowed to like bonk them on the head and drag them to the cave.
Well, if you go back in time, you
You
would.
know?
You'd fit right in. When in Rome, do as the Romans. Or the
Yeah.
caveman. When in caveman times, do as the caveman would.
Yeah.
But yeah, that wouldn't fit today, though. If you brought a caveman from the past to now. We saw that movie with Pauly Shore. It didn't go so well.
Not at all. You can't like bonk girls on the head anymore. It's not even cool.
Well, what you have to watch out now is they might bonk you on the head, too.
Well, they'll probably do something else, like stick a knitting needle up your nose while you're sleeping.
But that can clear out your sinuses. That might not be so bad.
Yeah, and no one will ever find out how you died.
Yeah. Well, as long as I'm dead, then I don't care
Okay.
what the cause was.
Enough of this silliness. Okay, let's get into the story. The real story is, when I was about 16, this goes back to like 1985 in Milton, Ontario. Had this experience where this looked like a fireball went through the walls of my house. It made a rumbling sound, made me nauseous to my stomach. Before that, I used to have recurring dreams of this thing. When I was a kid, it made me nauseous and sick to my stomach. So anyways, this time it actually manifested itself into a visual thing, and it rumbled the house and went through the walls and all through the hallway, where through the bedrooms. And my mother and I both peeked our heads out of the room and saw it. We both saw it. It was 2 witnesses. So this thing it just floated right through like as if to say, here I am motherfucking evil, and I'm just gonna show myself off to you and just make you know that I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, you are not in control.
Oh no.
Yeah. So did you feel any heat? Anything?
No,
physical
there was
manifestations
absolutely
along with it?
no heat. There was a sound vibration. There was a vibration. It shook the house. It had vibration. It had sound vibration, but and visual, but no heat whatsoever.
Did you hear, like, did it talk to you in any way or communicate other than just menacing presence?
It was just kind of like, you guys are my fucking slaves. You watch what I do. I do whatever I want. You better be scared of me.
So in the dreams that you had where this would show up in them, did you get the exact same feeling when it was in person, or were there anything different between
It
the
was
dream?
like an evil entity trying to take me over. I do believe it was trying to possess me, and I do think it may have been a demon.
So do you think it was successful, or did you get away from it?
Oh, I got away from it. It couldn't take me
You never
over.
felt any residual effects from it, or was it
Oh
the
yeah.
one time?
Sometimes I can see other things that other people don't see, like in that same realm of evil.
Have you had other dreams where the fireball shows up again?
No, not since that night when it made itself visible. I
Do you
haven't
think
had
that
any
in
more
that
dreams of it. No more sickness. Nothing.
Do you think that situation, when it wasn't able to take over your spirit like it was trying, that it moved on to the next person at that point?
Yes, I do believe that. It was sort of signaling that, okay, if I can't get you, I'll move on to the next house.
It was going to do an awesome display before it left,
Yeah,
to let you know. So what'd your mom think of it when she saw it?
she's
Did
terrified
she
to
have
even.
dreams
She
too,
doesn't
or
even
no?
want to talk about it. She doesn't want to talk about it.
Is she open to those types of, like, anything paranormal?
Used to be back in the day, but now she's getting older and she really doesn't like even. My dad hates it, so she just doesn't want to talk about it anymore.
Just cut that part off.
Yeah.
So do you know, did she ever have any kind of dreams of it too, or do you think this was coming to you and you happen to have another witness?
She's never seen the fireball thing, except for she did witness one go across the sky, and so did I. But this was, I think, a totally different thing, possibly. I think this could have been. It's not a meteor because meteors don't go so that slow. But she did witness a fireball go low across the sky in front of the vehicle. She said it was just way too low and slow moving to be some kind of meteor. And she said it looked like a fireball, like a slow moving fireball just going over the fields. When you see the light that it's giving off that's reflecting on the ground around it in the dark, that's not a meteor.
Mm-hmm.
It would never be that close to the ground and moving that slow.
Right. It would affect you for sure if
No.
you were able to see it, to see a reflection from it. So how big was this in perspective of like a doorway?
For what she saw?
No, what you and her together.
Oh, okay. It was about 10 feet, I would say, to 6 feet around.
Wow.
It was pretty big round. It was bigger than the doorway. It just came through the walls.
That's pretty crazy. So there's really no getting away from it. There's not moving around.
It just drifted through like it owned the world. And it
moved
gave
in a
off
linear
that
path,
vibration.
or
It gave off the air of arrogance. Like, it just like, I own this place. You are my slaves.
And do you feel like you had any effect on its path? Like, again, did it go in a straight line, or did it move at angles?
I've always thought of myself as sort of like a warlock, so I'm very arrogant too. So I gave a whole huge positive blast at it as best I could and just sent it straight to hell in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, so that's interesting. Do you think there's any chance that this was a manifestation of something of your own? Like maybe
Yeah, because I was 16 years old, right? And a time before that, actually, the bed lifted up off the ground and then slammed down. And my mother actually came in the room and said, "What was that?" It sounded like the bed was lifted up and slammed. What did you do? Lift your bed up and slam it down? What the hell are you doing? It's the middle of the night. And I said, "Mom, I didn't do that. I was up near the ceiling and the damn thing came down and woke me up."
That's Linda Blair like there almost with the level of power. So do you have the ability to control anything in a telekinetic way now?
I really don't want to say anything about that because then people will challenge me on it.
Oh, but a good challenge is fun, especially on a Friday night.
I've done it. I've done things.
That's interesting.
But I have to go into a really, really deep state of hypnotism. I have to self-hypnotize myself. And
so basically you meditate.
Yeah. And actually, I find the use of magic mushrooms to be very effective to get me into that state as well. Maybe there's something else that does better, but I found that works.
So you open up another line of questioning for me. Had you smoked anything, taken anything?
That night? No, not at all. I was never into drugs at the time. Totally straight. Didn't drink, didn't smoke dope, nothing.
Okay, so have you tried in any way to call out to this entity to bring it back?
I don't want to see it again. I tried to exorcise it. I went around the house with a priest. A week after that, from the Catholic Church, we brought around and went with holy salt around the perimeter of the building.
What did he say when you told the story to him?
He believed it was a demon.
Okay. Like a biblical type demon or something?
He thought it was some sort of evil entity. He didn't know what, but he thought it ain't good and we're going to get rid of it.
Right. Well, that combined with the bed moving, those two things would...
Well, the nauseousness really did it for me. Like, it wouldn't be something good if it makes me nauseous, want to throw up.
Right. It would be giving you what you want to gain more power over you, you would think, if it was
yeah. As soon as it's a stomach-wrenching stench. Yeah, I forgot to mention, there was a smell to it, too.
Okay. So, that smell, have you smelled anything similar to it after that experience?
Yeah, like if you smell rotten garbage or something like that.
Okay. But without, obviously, the
little bit sweeter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nasty.
So you said your wife has had a similar experience.
Yes, she has.
Was
So
that the
I'm going to
first
put
time?
her on in a minute. We're going to play a song right now, and then we'll have her come on. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. That's the Mud King and the Wolf Man on Monster Castle Paranormal. Thanks for listening, everybody. We're going to play a song for you right now, and we will be right back.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Here we go.
Dig through the dark to find the sound. The sound in the deepest jungle. We don't know where we're going. We better look behind us now. It's a rhinoceros and I think that he's coming for us. And he looks pretty excited. I don't think that he's too bad. We climbed the tree and watched him go. Then suddenly the weather changed. And as we reached the mountain range, we're in the deepest jungle. We don't know what we're doing here. We gotta look behind us. It's a rhinoceros, and I think that he was following us. And the fact of where I know, and he smells like a rhino.
Whoa, all right. Yeah. Now, that was actually when the experience happened for me. I just thought about it. It was 1983, not 85. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. It was 1983. I was thinking about it because I wasn't, I finished high school in 85, so it was 2 years before that, at least. So,
Okay, so
yeah, I got...
that's interesting because in the 80s is when my sister had her experience with the fire.
Yeah, and after Sandra comes on, I want you to tell us about yours.
Definitely.
Okay, here she is.
Hello.
Hey, how are you, Sandra?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So I hear you've had an experience with a fireball.
Yes, I have had experience.
So kind of set the scene for us. When did it happen, and what was the location?
Well, it happened in June of 1991. I was living up near North Bay, Ontario.
Oh, honey, first tell them that we never heard each other talk.
Oh, I guess I could say Mike and I never heard each other bring this up before until maybe about 6 months ago.
Okay,
I talked about mine
that.
first, and then he talked about his.
Okay, and had you heard anyone else in the past tell a story like this?
No,
or
I haven't. No,
You haven't?
first time. And what would happen is my youngest son was scared to sleep by himself that night, so he stayed in my room with me, and we had just shut the TV off, and then all of a sudden we heard this great big rumbling sound, like, you know, those spaceships that go up in the sky to the moon. It sounded like that, like a big thrust. And we looked down the hallway and we seen this great big huge white light. And it was the whole size of the hallway. And it just came right down the hallway. And it just went straight through the wall, right through in my other son's room. And then when I went up to look for it, to see what had happened, it had disappeared right through the wall and right through the whole house.
So did it go in a straight line, basically, or did it do any kind of movement?
Straight line, right across.
Okay. That's interesting, because that's similar to Wolfman's experience, so I wonder if there's something to that.
I know, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it was in the hallway. Like, it was really weird. It comes through the front window and the living room window, and it went straight through, like, the whole house. It was very scary. And now, if you talk to my son about it, he doesn't want to talk about it because he's still terrified from it.
Right. Yeah. How old was he when that happened?
He was about 9. Now he's like 32, almost 33.
Yeah, I can imagine that's kind of experience that you don't want to relive.
No, and he doesn't want to talk about it, and it doesn't matter how much you try to get it out of him, he won't talk about it. He's just terrified of it. I don't know what goes through his mind, but...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, did you have that same feeling of no control, and like this was trying to tell you something?
Well, it just like, we just like stayed in the bed, and it just like, you couldn't move.
Okay, so you were actually paralyzed.
You were paralyzed, yeah. You couldn't even move. And it's just like it took control of you. And pardon?
Did you feel a presence of evil, or did you feel any other presence other than the fear and being paralyzed?
To me it felt like a present, like a present from like to me it's from God. Like it, I don't know. It didn't seem evil to me. It was a good feeling. Like when it went through the house, it was a good feeling.
Okay, so you actually it had some kind of comfort
can
to
I
it
jump
versus the feeling.
That's
that
weird
the
because
Wolfman might
Sandra did not hear my interview with you, by the way.
Oh,
I
really?
kept
Okay.
her in the other room so she could not hear my interview. So you're talking to her totally. That's fresh.
Yeah. Okay, that's a really interesting part to hear, that you had opposite reactions to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, because I didn't hear Mike's. I just was in the bedroom watching a movie.
Well, that adds to the mystery of it for sure. I like that. So after it happened, what kind of effect did it have on you?
Well, I've been scared. Like it's a good feeling, but it's a terrifying, because like my dad had been gone for so many years, right? And it's like something come to tell us something, but we don't know what. Mm-hmm. Like there's a missing puzzle there, and I don't know what the missing puzzle is.
So in that experience, you feel like maybe it was trying to communicate, and there was some kind of message that has never made it all the way through. Like,
right.
You think it's coming from the other side?
Right, I think it is. And I'm thinking someday I'll find out. Don't know when, but someday I will find out.
That's a long time to be waiting for a message, isn't it?
It is a long time, isn't it?
Yes. So, trying to think here, that just throws me for a loop to hear how different those experiences are. Did you smell any weird smells with it?
No, we didn't.
You didn't? Okay.
No.
Was there any physical after effects?
Like what do you mean?
Anything left, like a burn spot on the wall, electrical problems?
No.
Anything really
No,
after?
it just went rumbled right through the whole house, and went right through my other son's room, and right out the wall, because I went in to see if my other son was okay, and he didn't know anything about it. He was sleeping. He knew nothing about what had happened.
Didn't even wake up from it.
He did not wake up from it. Just
you describe the
just my
size of
youngest
it?
son and I heard it, and saw it.
Can you describe the size,
Oh, let's see here.
like in relation to a doorway?
In relation to a doorway, it was a bit wider than a door,
Okay.
and like the width of it and the roundness of it was maybe I'd say maybe about 6 feet.
Okay. And was it round or oblong?
It was round.
Round.
Yep.
Okay. And with that, did you ever actually feel heat with it, or did you just see, or did it ever get close enough for you to feel heat?
No, it didn't get close enough to us.
Okay.
No.
Do you feel so like
Neither did
going
mine.
back to the
It was
too
close.
message?
I feel special. I feel like something maybe tried to communicate with me, but maybe because my son was there, it didn't. Some people believe in stuff and some people don't, and I believe in the afterlife. So, as I said, someday maybe I will find out, but just right now, it's never come to me yet as to what it was all about.
So I have a couple questions that you feel free to stop me on the line, this line, if it's not the direction you want to go.
Okay.
But do you feel like maybe that fireball was communicating with your son, and that it did communicate with him?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is maybe that's why doesn't want to talk about it.
Exactly. That's where I was going to. That maybe something was said to him that it was either important enough to be quiet about, or frightening enough that he doesn't want to experience it again. Because maybe that fireball was there for him.
Maybe. Maybe that's why he didn't want to sleep in his room that night. Maybe he
I can
sensed
understand
something.
that. Yeah. And I think that children are more attuned to things that are on a different plane than us as adults, as you get older and you just become hardened to the realities of the world and if I could talk, specifically the physical world, that if this was coming from another dimension, another side, whatever, another power, that maybe he was able to, if he hadn't been in the room, it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Or if it did happen, you wouldn't have seen it.
Right.
Have you had any other paranormal experiences?
Have I had any more? I've seen shadow people.
Tell me more about that.
They're just they're dark, like a dark entity that just walks around, and we've had them actually here in our house. We had actually the clock has just been taken out. I had a grandfather clock, and it was haunted, and it's hard to talk about it. They used to just one person used to just hang around that clock all the time.
So you could sense a real personality behind it to differentiate from another.
Like, it's almost like it used to hide behind the clock, like it's like somebody that we knew. We don't know what it was, but this past weekend, my son took the clock out of here.
Was it the same son that saw the fireball?
No, it's the second son.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you get the clock?
For your son who was in the room, has he had any other paranormal experiences that you know of?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
Because that would be interesting if he saw shadow people more regularly.
I should ask him, actually. I think I should ask him.
There's an inscription in that clock.
There's an inscription in it?
Yeah, that would belong to some guy by the name of Brian. So we're kind of wondering if that was in memory of Brian. So we're wondering if there was a little plaque inside the clock. It said in memory of Brian. So we're wondering if it was maybe Brian that was hanging around the clock.
Did you sell it or give
Pardon?
it away?
Secondhand.
Did you sell the clock or give it away to somebody that you know?
I just give it to my son, and he's going to give it to a friend.
Tell him where you got it from.
You need to tell them that you want to know if they have any weird experiences afterward. Like
if she
find out
does.
if Brian follows them.
Okay.
Because that would be a good indicator that there is some direct manifestation to that grandfather clock.
Right.
If they have experiences that, don't tell them what your experience was like if someone's kind of hanging around it. But ask them, follow up with them is what I'm saying.
Like, I'd bought it at a Value Village, right? So,
Secondhand
store is where I bought it from.
It could have ended up there for the same reason that you got rid of it.
Right. That's true.
So that would be a good thing to find out. If it would give you validation if they take that grandfather clock and they have similar experiences without being muddied by knowing what happened to you.
Right.
And then you would know that Brian probably is the entity there. And at that point, I would connect with somebody who can help his spirit move on, because he's probably trapped in a way that isn't healthy for him here in this world when he needs to move on to the next. That clock should be the only reminder of him left, not him standing behind it.
That's right. You're right. But even like when I lived down at the apartment building, the same thing. This shadow person would just hung around the clock. It would like seem like it would hide behind the clock, like it didn't want to be seen, but you could see it. Like we've had a lot of stuff happen. Like a couple of Christmases ago, I had like a bag of buns fly off the freezer right in front of me, and coming out of the kitchen. And then we had a radio station that was on, and the radio went off, and my dog was barking at something that was near the radio. Like, we've had a lot of experiences of what's happened.
I lived in a house where a pastor had passed away in it, and we would have several times where the radio would be playing, like on a top 40 or rock and roll station, and then all of a sudden it would sound like the signal went out, and then it comes back, and there's a pastor preaching.
Wow.
Whatever they were preaching usually would be something relative to what's going on in your life, like directly, like things that just a pastor talking on the radio wouldn't be saying, that are so relevant to you in that moment. And then the same thing with the TV. Like I'd be watching MTV as a kid, and it'd go to a commercial and then come back, and there would be a preacher talking.
Well, that's scary.
What shouldn't be on MTV at that time. So
no, it should not be on.
I think that TVs and anything that picks up a signal, digital, I think, takes this away a lot more with internet radio and TV over digital signals or satellite signals. I don't think you'll see this as much as back in the day when everything was over the airwaves, that those were able to pick up something that current technology loses. In the digital world, I don't think whatever those spirits or entities, I don't think they can tap into it as well.
Like I always thought maybe it was just my father or something, because my dad's been gone for 30-some years. And then just my mom died last October. And then just a couple months ago, my sister seen like a shadow of my father. And he's been gone 30-some years. And so why would he go to her after all these years? You know, like
maybe she needed it. Maybe there was something happening in her life that she needed a chance to reset.
Or unless he's just letting her know that he's got mom, you know what I mean? Or something.
That's a good point, yeah.
That's what I was wondering, right?
Yeah, did she feel good about it or sad?
She felt good about it. It didn't scare her.
That makes me think that you're right, that he wanted to come back and make it clear that he's happy and he's taking care of things.
Right.
That they're together, and this is where what's supposed to happen is happening. So be comforted.
And then another thing too, what happened is when Mom died, we had the funeral for her, and I had my hand on top of her hand, and I felt her hand come up.
Oh, really?
And touch the bottom of my hand. Yep. That scared me.
I can imagine that would shock you in the moment.
But it makes me, because we always told her if there's ever life after death, come back and let us know.
Yeah, was she a pretty strong personality, the kind that would do that?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. So that's what that's the feeling I got, is she's just letting me know that there is life after death after her doing that to me, right? But it did happen, and mind you, I got scared. I was terrified because Mike was standing right beside me, and I told him, it's like, whoa. And then sometimes you could see it looked like her heart was still pumping. Like it was scary.
Yeah, that's wild. There's so many stories of people that were assumed dead in a morgue that come back to life. That scares me. Like, back in the old days, they would poke a hole through your nose, or
actually, we called Art Bell about it.
Oh, really? During the night in the desert, or?
Oh, I don't know. I'll let Mike talk to you about that in a second, and he can explain it to you, right? But
well, going back to the fireball,
right?
After all the years of that happening, is there? I guess let me rephrase what I was going to ask. Would you want to have the same experience happen again? And if so, what would you do different?
Yes, I would like the same experience to happen to me again, but I would like to know what it is. I want it to tell me what it's there for. Why has it come to me the way it did?
Sandra.
Like, that's what I'd like to know.
Right. And you don't want that voice in the background saying your name in a quiet.
No, I don't.
No.
Like, even like at nights, I'm here by myself because Mike works midnights, and a lot of times I'm terrified to be here, and I don't know why. It's like I think that something's going to happen, and I don't know. Maybe it's just me or experiences I've had in my life, maybe, or I don't know.
Well, you see other. You said you've seen several shadow people. Is there others besides the one I'm just going to call Brian, going forward?
Yeah, we've seen them like go by the window, like walk across the room.
Hmm.
We've had our lights like dim a lot in this house.
Cupboards smash.
Cupboards close.
No, drawers fly
Drawers fly
I
open.
think I'm losing it.
and through the
Oh.
contents across the room.
Like drawers fly out and throw the contents across the room. We've had a lot of things happen.
That's crazy, but it sounds like none of those are directed at you in a malevolent or an angry way.
No,
That's good. So
I think
but
it's
no,
just someone trying to get our attention.
yeah, and you could have protective spirits that are having a battle right there against other spirits trying to affect you.
Right.
I mean, you could have spiritual warfare happening right there beside you, and you might only see one aspect of it.
Right. Okay, I think Mike wants to talk to you now. Do you have anything else to ask me?
No, I don't think so. Thank you very much for sharing your story.
Well, thank you very much for talking to me.
Thank you.
Thank you, honey. Thank you so much, Sandra, for sharing that with us. That was beautiful. Oh my God.
That was an awesome story.
Yeah.
And it's different than yours while still sharing some.
I know, and she had like a positive experience, and yet I had a negative one.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was just so awe-inspiring. Maybe that's what I just couldn't handle it. I was just a kid, right?
Well, maybe there's very different spirits with different purposes.
She was older when it happened to her, so I can see how she would feel like it's an empowering thing. But to me, back then, I was only 14, 15 years old, so to me, it was terrifying, and it made me really scared.
Well, there's a couple other similarities I'd like to point out too.
The
One-
size of the thing, we never discussed this before, so you brought out some things that I'm glad that you interviewed us separately, and she didn't hear me, because it blew my mind when she told the size of the object and stuff like that, because I never heard that before.
Yeah, well, think about this too. In the situation where you both saw them, you were there with your mom, and your mom doesn't want to talk about it anymore. And she was the mom with a son, and the son doesn't want to talk about it
Yeah.
anymore.
And
So
how
like
the
if
hell
you're
is it that we met each other now? Okay,
Well,
now you said you've heard of another story. Somebody else that's seen one of these things. Let's hear that, because we got only 7 minutes left.
Yeah, so this was my sister back, I want to say 86 probably, and she was a teenager. I lived in a 2-story home, and her bedroom was in the upstairs room. So one night, she's in bed, like everyone's in bed, it's late at night. She jumps up, and what she's explained, she was having a dream where she was on fire. So she wakes up, and she sees a fireball, and it's in her room, and it's angry and malevolent. I can't talk tonight. It wants to attack, and she looks at it and screams, and it starts to fly down the stairs, and so she chases it, and then it stops at the end of the stairs, and she gets the sense. It doesn't talk to her, but she can sense the anger and sort of communicating with her, and it says that it's going to burn me and kill me, kill my parents and my brother, and so she starts to yell at it, saying, "No, you're not." And she chases it towards my bedroom and then slams into my door, because it goes right through the door, and she slams into it, which wakes everyone up in the house, and it's gone.
Okay, it makes me think that she's maybe a little bit clairvoyant more than I am and can sense thoughts of others. Is she do any sort of psychic readings for people now?
Not that I know of, actually. I mean, she's had some paranormal experiences. I mean, the house we lived in was the same one that I don't know if you could hear, where I was describing a pastor had died in the house years before us, and it would take over radios and TVs and speak through it. So some weird things happen inside this house, and that's just one of a few stories I can tell. But the fireball thing stuck out to me because that she was so adamant that it happened, and then the anger and hatred that the fireball had was something that stuck with her all these years.
She still hates the fucking thing, right?
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. She gets fired up to talk about it, not to make a pun.
Okay, I'm gonna give that fucking fireball one good bonk, okay?
All right.
Just from the caveman, he showed me how to bonk, so that's it. Fireball, you bastard, you're gonna get a bonk. That's it. Maybe one more. Okay, I gave him 2 bonks.
Nice.
Fuck that. That damn thing's scary, man. I don't want that thing in my house. I don't want it there.
I
Man.
need evil fireball insurance because I'm nervous now.
Yeah. You know, the only thing it didn't do, you know, you see it go through the wall, go through windows, and there's no fucking glass crash or nothing. It just goes right through the wall silently, a little bit of rumbling, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as my sister, like I said, it went through the door to my bedroom.
How big was
I
it?
was asleep.
How big was it, did she say? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was basically the size of the door. That's part of why I asked those questions. I wanted to see how your stories compared to what
Okay,
she
mine
said.
was a little bigger than the door.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
so,
this
like,
one
I
was
would say a little, about 2 feet taller than the door. So it went
the
pretty
one she
much right up to the ceiling through the hallway.
Yeah, so it was bigger. The one that she described filled the hallway going from the upstairs to the downstairs.
Well, that's exactly it. It filled the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, it kind of just kept its distance slightly away from me and my mother. It didn't touch us. It almost brushed up against us, but it did not touch us.
That makes me think that there must be multiple variations that all come from the same place, because it would make sense that in different stages of life, the 3 different stories we have are connected yet different. So maybe it's a mature fireball versus a young one, and what my sister went up against was a mature one that had a plan, and that's why it was able to communicate. But pure evil definitely is what she felt from it. Like she
That's what I felt too. Pure evil.
Yeah. And
So-
I've actually had an experience with pure evil before, but it's different. It wasn't a fireball. And it was weird, and it just totally blew me away. I basically felt, I was asleep. I lived in an apartment house on the 2nd floor of it, and I had this dream where I saw basically a cloud of evil floating, and it was going to each door of the apartment complex, and it didn't go in any door, but it stopped and looked at them. And then it got to our door, to where I lived from my apartment, and it went inside. And so it was searching through the rooms looking for somebody, and it was just pure evil. That's all I knew in that moment. I could feel the evilness of it, that you did not want this thing to come in contact with you. And right before it got to the hallway to my room in the dream, I woke up. I jumped up, and somehow I knew that was going to happen soon, that it hadn't happened yet.
Okay, buddy. Do you want to plug anything? We got 2 minutes left.
Yeah, go to Dean and King Show. That's deanandkingshow.com, and you can check out my football podcast I have there. And you can also see some of the other things I do with the Bell Files and Why So Technical, or several podcasts that I host. I'd love to have people check those out and give us a listen and interact with us.
And
You can find
remember,
me at the Mud King on Twitter.
right on, Mud King is the man. And thank you so much for coming on and doing this interview with us. It was amazing, man. I want to flush down those evil spirits now. That's it. They're getting a flushing. I'm doing the sound effects, okay? That's it.
Cool.
You're flushing twice. And that's it. We're doing a song, and we are out of here, man. Thank you for coming on and listening to the Monster Castle Paranormal, the extreme paranormal. Yeah. Definitely have the Mud King on again, everyone. Thanks for listening.